My name is Mark. Since the first day of my incarceration, God began to change my life. I get up every morning, and first thing I do is I get up and hit my knees and pray, and I do a little devotional because without God's grace, I wouldn't make it through the day. It was something that I had to learn to do. I had mentors and men of God in my life as I came through the system who began to teach me, to give me books, to read the Bible to me, and they helped me learn to develop spiritual disciplines, praying, devotions, not being afraid to stand up and speak in front of people, and express my love for the Word of God to other people. And it's just been a developmental thing. It's like being a child and growing up. It's something you have to grow into. I'm involved in Malachi Dads and Celebrate Recovery, and I try to keep myself motivated and busy, just to help the time go by and to try to give back to the society that I took so much away from. I spent so much time worrying about what I didn't have that everything that I did have, I just took it for granted. I was abandoned when I was a child. I have a younger sister, and we were both, my mother and my father separated when I was 2, and my mother chose at that point to not be part of my life anymore. She just it disappeared, and my father took custody of me and my sister, but he didn't have the ability. I really don't know. I've never had a chance to go back and find out what exactly went on, but my father turned me and my sister over to aunts and uncles, and we moved around from place to place and had just different people taking care of us until I was about 7. And at that point, my family, together as a unit, decided that my sister and I would be better off living in a children's home. And we grew up, basically it's called a children's home, but basically it was an orphanage. And it was not what to be honest with you, it wasn't really the best place to be. We were subjected to a lot of things that children just shouldn't be subjected to. I was abused as a child, physically and verbally, even sexually at some points, by other children, by adults, by the very people who were supposed to be loving us and nurturing us and taking care of us. We were abused, and it created in me a sense of worthlessness. I just didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. I've had problems throughout my life trying to identify with other people, to build relationships that really mean anything, and this was also, it was supposed to be a Christian-based environment. It was they took us to church on Sundays and, beat us half to death all week long. It was a very messed up situation. I had a very twisted God concept. I had a very twisted ideas of what it meant to be a man. I had very twisted ideas of what relationships were and how they were built and what other people meant. I couldn't identify with anybody. There just wasn't there. I learned how to self-medicate, and I was a functioning addict out in the world. I had a great job, I had a wife, I had children. On the outside looking in, it looked like the perfect life, but at home, things just couldn't have been worse. And when I got arrested, I was in such bad shape, I was in such dire straits that the only place I could turn was to God. When I was arrested, I was strung out on several different kinds of drugs, and had just gotten to a point where if there was not some sort of intervention, I probably wouldn't have lived to have seen another day. I was sitting in a one-man cell, an isolation cell, with a broken jaw, and going through withdrawals from all the different drugs that I was on, and I was at rock bottom. I had just been crying out to God, if you're not going to kill me, if you're not going to take me off this earth, save me, help me. You know, I just cried out. And when I finally started to get better, they released me back in the general population, and I got put in a cell with an older man. His name was Mr. Gerald. I'll never forget this man as long as I live, because he really helped me change my life. He was a godly man. He sat on his bunk every day and read his Bible. And when I came in, he took me under his wing. He was like, you know, and I was already willing and ready to let God start to move in my life. So the door was open in my heart. But he took my needs and my desires, and he sat down with me, and he shared the Word of God with me, and he gave me my first Bible that I had while, you know, since being incarcerated, and he gave me other books. He just fed me. You know, I read Spiritual Man by Watchman Nee, and I read The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren, and I mean, just all these other books, and he just started pouring the Word of God into my life, and I was just soaking it up like a sponge. And it changed everything about me. I learned how to pray. You know, I learned how to do devotions, and God did it. I didn't do it. God did it for me. He changed my life.